So I'm going to show two particular videos that I came across that are, again, really relevant, and I should feel the need to bring to everyone's attention just in case they haven't seen it. I mean, of course, everyone should at least be talking about this to some sort of degree because it's affecting everyone. But it's basically, of course, about the economy nowadays. The term that will be used here is silent depression. Worse than or equal to, apparently, the Great Depression. So here are the videos.
1970, the average home was $15,000. It is now $436,000. It has gone up 29 times. Rent was $108, is now $2,000. That's gone up 20 times. College was $500. It's now $11,000. That's gone up 20 times. Gas was 36 cents. It's now $3.80. That has gone up 10 to 12 times. But what about the income? In 1970, the average person was making $9,000. Today, they're making $56,000. That has only gone up 6 times compared to everything else. But this is where it gets sad. In 1970, the average household had 3.5 children. Today, it's only 1.9. And the crazy part is that back in 1970, the average household, 47% were dual income. It has now jumped to 65% is dual income. So millennials and Gen Zers under the household are putting in more hours than the boomers did. We're both working 40 hours a week. But you got way more bang for your buck and more children. You got to expand your family, own a house. Things are so drastically different. The birth rate is plummeting because people can't afford it. So we need to make a change so that we can turn this around.
I heard a new term on TikTok today that made me stop in my tracks.
We are living in the silent depression.
This guy believes we are not just living in worse than the Great Depression, we're living in the silent depression. The average annual income in 1930 for an American individual was a little over $4,800. Sounds like nothing, but if you adjust that for inflation, a little over $4,800 a year in 1930 is equivalent to almost $85,000 annually for the average salary for one person. Right now, the average annual salary is $56,000 a year. We currently are making less than the height of the Great Depression. In 1930, gas was on average 10 cents a gallon. That would be about $1.73. In case you haven't filled up your car lately, average cost of a gallon of gas is $3.55. To buy a new car in 1930 would have been about $860. It's worth about 15 grand. The average cost of a new car today is $48,000. And of course, the most coveted aspect of the American dream, being able to buy a house in 1930 cost about $3,900, less than $70,000. I spend way too much time on Zillow, so maybe this isn't surprising to me, but the average price of a home in America today is $416,000. How could we be living through worst cost of living and wages than 1930? And no politician, no media outlet, no one is talking about it.
That's Bidenomics. It's about growing an economy by strengthening the middle class.
Alright, so to the first video, just really quick statistics thrown at you and whatnot. 1970, houses were $15,000. 2023, and of course, still 2025, it's still relevant. You need basically $500,000. Almost $500,000. Almost $500,000. That's right, you're halfway to $1 million just to buy a fucking house that back in 1970 was only $15,000. That's right, $5,000 halfway to $20,000. And then rent went from, a cheap 108 or even all the way up to about 400 or something like that, all the way up to an average of 1,200, all the way up to $2,000 a month. College, of course, 500 to 11K. I mean, the statistics are just insane, and how we as a society continue to let this just happen is beyond me. Like, I don't know who sets prices or what sets prices, but we're just letting this happen. We're not doing anything, and it seems like no one's trying to counter it. We're just kind of accepting it as it is and bitching about it, but not proactively doing anything about it. And it just bewilders me that we can just continually accept all this happening and these rich people getting richer and the poor people getting poorer and just be like, it is what it is. And of course everyone under the sun's going to complain about it, whine about it, and say something needs to be done, but then no one wants to do anything about it. No one actually wants to be the change or start the change or anything about improving the situation. And it just shocks me that this is the nowadays, and it's gone up so much and no one's doing anything to stop it, right? So it just absolutely shocks me because again, 1970 the gas was only 36 cents and now it's almost $4 per gallon. I mean, that of its own right too is another thing. Now I know that one's a little bit more complicated, but still regulations and stuff, it's just absurd to me. And then there's, you know, the lady that was talking about that one guy that was saying how, you know, he believes that we're not living in the Great Depression, but we're living in a worse than Great Depression called the Silent Depression. And that was pretty accurate too, because again, she brings up statistics of how much things are compared to back then, and you know, all this other stuff. And it just shocks me that the average new car is $48,000, you know, compared to back then where it was not even close to that, you know, because 1930 cost, it was about $3,900, you know. So to put that into perspective, that is astronomically high prices. Now, of course, that can be a little bit more logically understood because things have changed so much. There's more technology in today's cars, you know, things like that. So I can kind of understand that one, but the point is still there and very valid. Everything has gone up to an absurdly high crisis level, and it seems like no one's really talking about this. It's just literally being considered normal, because it's almost like, at least to me, it's almost in the case of like you get used to someone abusing you for so long that you just kind of be like, whatever, just another day. They get you normalized to a new high, and then they raise it again, and then they take some time and you get used to that new high price, and then they raise it again, get you normal to that price, and then raise it again, and it's just this continual cycle of conditioning you to get used to a newer, higher price. Because the more you get used to it, the more that you are less likely to resist it, fight it, or want to change it. And that's my personal opinion, that it's just kind of a case of Stockholm Syndrome, but in the financial department of things. They just normalize you to this financial abuse to the point where you're just like, okay, this is normal, it is what it is, so be it. You'll complain about it, you'll whine about it, but you won't do anything about it because you're conditioned to see this as normal, and you're given this false hope that things will get better and prices will go down. And when in reality, humans by nature, especially the more affluent ones, are greedy as hell. They're not gonna do that. If they can get more money out of you, oh, they most definitely will. And boy, oh boy, will they not have an issue with that. The more they can line their pockets, the more that they can enrich themselves financially, the more that they're gonna just do it every chance they get until someone does something about it, you know. So it just is one of those things where if no one's gonna talk about it, well, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna bring it up. And for those that watch it, well, hopefully you guys do too. So until next time.